Okay. My name is Mitchell Barnaby Jones, and I wanted to share just what I just recently been through when it comes to the spirit of this age. So, at my job, they've been posting or presenting how they do like certain awarenesses, like Juneteenth, like history. They put up different tables to support people's rights, and they did the LGBT rights. I think this is the first year I've seen it. I've never experienced that, and as soon as they put it up there was alarms. Like, it's just in my spirit. Even when they put up the same thing to support them at what is it, Target, yeah. It was just an issue with my heart. Like, something wasn't right. And at my job, I'm there 8 hours, and I'm really not able to do much but study and pray. And I noticed that my spiritual radar, my conviction, was beginning to align with God's, and I began to feel an anger in my heart towards the spirit of this age that uses innocent people to defend a lie, to defend something that goes against their rights as children of God, as humans, and different things, the distortion of desires, the distortion of appetites that is in the air, and so I felt it in my heart. I felt convicted to go to my group leader during break, and I went to talk to him, and I said, hey, is there a way I can talk to whoever's over that platform? And he's like, yeah, sure. I don't know who it is, but I can try, And he said, what's the cause? And I said, protest, and I told him, I don't think it's human to promote this. I don't think it's human for us to present this as a liberty, to governmentally impose this on people, in the attempt to produce the awareness of the normality of it. And my defense was, when you're in a country that represents so much, that represents freedom of religion, which frees the church to be the spiritual government of the spiritual atmosphere, so that there is a disconnect from the demonic realm and humanity, who is innocently not even understanding what the demonic realm is, So that's the purpose of the church, to relieve humanity of the curse that man came under when they fell from God, culturally, And so I was pulled in the office, and they were actually going to write me up, and it could have possibly went left to where, because one of the girls, or a couple of the girls, said I was harassing them, and I actually couldn't even record the conversation. That's how tricky it is, I wasn't able to record saying, or to record for the sake of like if they were to say, this person want to sue you, I don't have any type of legal documentation other than writing, which can possibly put my words against me, So they brought me in this thing they call the hot box, and I was written up. And I didn't feel offended or anything about it. I mean, I get how the system works and their attempt to defend people's rights of judgment, of different things like that. And I was able to communicate so many things, man, that the Lord's been teaching me, that I've been learning. And there was a clear distinction, a clear discernment of what the spirit of this age is doing, and even our part to play in the communication, in the dismantling, as the ecclesia, as the church, as the government in the earth. The church is actually the highest government of the earth. That's why there's separation of church and state. The church is actually put higher than the governments, because of how much there is a need for people's connection to God, not just their liberties and their freedoms according to land and no tyranny, but their spiritual freedoms according to their connection to God, their life of righteousness, and their resistance of sin and darkness, so that the generations will grow and grow and grow into God's kingdom, and fulfill Scripture. The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it. That the whole earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of God. So God's desire is very strategic, very governmental, and it's beyond our human understanding. And as we submit to Him, we gain understanding of His ways, His desires, just like a child gains understanding of the strategy and the parenting of their parent, So I'm just sensing a need to sound the alarm, seeing how I was written up for harassment when there was nothing that I said that was harassing. And I realized that the world calls harassment, or calls it harassment, because they are offended, and not based on truth. If you're driving on the wrong side of the road and I say, hey man, you're on the wrong side of the road, it's a one-way street, and you get offended, that offense shows that your desires are not in harmony with your design, or with the structure of your understanding of the law of the land, And it's the same thing. God designed man to be with woman. That's why He made male and female, a male with reproductive organs and seed, and a female with a reproductive organ of eggs and the capacity to receive the seed to cultivate a child. 1 + 1 = 2, And these man and a woman God made as a boundary to establish procreation, to continue procreation. And that boundary is an inalienable right. So you can't take that away. You can't take it away by suggesting that a man and a man be with each other. You can't take it away by suggesting that a man becomes a woman. You can only agree with it and align your desires to it, And there's a scripture in Romans that talks about when we neglect God as creator, because when you see Him as creator, you understand you're under Him, and there is an order for His boundaries in life. And you're a man and you're a woman, there's a boundary for being a woman and a boundary for being a man, So when we neglect Him as creator, we create subconsciously and in darkness a distorted view of humanity, which means our design and our desires begin to grow apart. And the more they grow apart, the more our desire starts to hate the conviction of our design, because our design is aligned to our designer, and our desires was actually meant to be within the boundaries of our design, you know. And God made it that way, and Christ came to actually redeem that alignment between the two, you know, because freedom and boundaries actually makes up righteousness, you know, according to God's life in you. God's life in you is both the Spirit and the Word, the boundaries of the Word and the life of the Spirit, the flow of the Spirit. You see it in God's creation when he made rivers. There's boundaries and life flowing. You know, there's boundaries between the waters and the land, and there's life flowing and life on both sides. So you can see and you can discern that God's design permits both boundaries and desires to go together. You know, our design and our desires to go together. And when we don't respect that, when we turn from God in our hearts grow distant from reality. And reality says man and a woman makes a child, you know. Man and a woman creates love. And reality shows that anything other than that is not love, it's lust. That's not an opinion, that's discernment, that's science, biology, and it's spirituality. It's the Word. Every nation sees it, every nation knows it. America is probably the only nation that frees that liberates the blindness to these boundaries, you know. Man, this is what we're dealing with. So, knowing our rights as American citizens and as children of God, the ecclesia, we have the full freedom as citizens of America that actually esteems our speaking against the alien system, the alien force that is seeking a blind man, whether tyranny that is in the government or whether sin or lawlessness that is within the people. Like, that is actually what Christ did. He came, he went to the leadership and spoke to them in a way to align them with God's order, and he spoke to the people and dealt with them to align them to God's order so that there's a oneness. Fathers are restored back to the children. Everything is in the harmony of our true design of what this life is really about. You can't have freedom without God. You can't have freedom without boundaries, without God's boundaries, without, you know, like just like you can't drive without submitting to the bounds of the laws of the land. Stop at a red light, stop at a stop sign, you know, and if you disobey them, there are legal, authorized citizens that actually have the legal right to put you in jail. It's the same thing with our sexuality. It's the same thing with our desire center, with our inner, you know, our inner realities. But because we don't understand the purpose, or even we haven't been trained by our parents to submit to authorities, to submit to boundaries, to learn, like all these things we never learned. We just did what we want, you know. We've never had that conviction that agrees with discipline, you know. And that's the result of sin, you know. That is sin itself. It makes us go against the grain of God's design. That is why Christ came. Christ came to deliver us from sin. He came to free us from sin. He actually condemned sin's authority in the flesh so that we can actually choose him. So we can actually choose life. And when the word is preached, we actually have the capacity to receive freedom, to understand that we are under a new covenant, under a new law, you know. So this is just in my heart, man. I I saw what I was up against, but I also saw what the world is up against with us, as children of God and as citizens of America. We have a great advantage over other countries like China, to where the churches are shunned, and the government is like anti, it's tyranny, and it's the laws of their land doesn't promote any type of freedom, they're not for you, So we have the laws established both in the Word of God, the Scriptures, and in the Constitution, and the rights that we have within the American Constitution. The rights actually equip us and enable us and empower us to speak against things without any fear of judgment, any fear of, to speak concerning truth, concerning God's order and God's design, So I'm really feeling a greater boldness. Thank you, people, those who were praying for me. I shared it briefly with a few friends and family and church in my church. But I realized that if we don't speak, they will seek to legalize and overthrow our God-given rights, which is tyranny in itself. And the enemy is using the victimized perspective of, this is my sex, this is what I like, this is love. They're using that and defending that, and using the government, whatever, to defend that in the light of hate speech, harassment, so that we have no way to deliver people, no way to help people get free, and I'm not saying it as a person who never was a part of sin. Like, I was the chief of sinners, and I've been thinking about doing a video just on like my failures growing up this far to this point, just a story of my weaknesses, just so that it's understood that I am the least. God calls the weak to humble the proud, to show that, hey, this gospel is for everybody. Look, I've chosen your weakest person. I've chosen the leader of sin, and to show you that everyone can come out of it, And I've been in that. If Christ never called me, if I never received the call, I would be the head of this LGBTQ, because I was all freedoms, no boundaries, no, like, anything goes. That's how I lived. Even though I had a Christian background, even though my parents were the best parents on the planet, even though I had the gift of God, the age just swept me under in their current, and I was in the river of the demonic, leading the way. And since Christ has delivered me, I have insight and understanding on what this inner thing is that the world is defending, in the light of desires and how they can be evil desires. And if we don't challenge them at an early age as parents, they will become people who are seeking to legalize them within our governments. So it's important that we speak. It's important that we communicate and clarify the truth of Christ, the truth of who we are as creation, as children of God, the truth of His standards and His boundaries, so that our desires can grow up in alignment with that, so that we are whole within. So just wanted to share this, the awareness of what we're dealing with. The enemy was trying to get me to lose my job because of what I said, and trying to manipulate my words. and I'm thankful that I was able to communicate to them, and even my labor leaders was like, they appreciated my stance, my my views. They were really encouraged by the views, because I really feel like God gave me the spirit of understanding to clarify, to bring to light truth, so that it's plainly seen, so that there's no disagreement, because it's not an opinion, and desires are second to design. So therefore, they have to align to design. So bless you. Thank you.